Should games be $80? The quick answer? Absolutely not. For the average gamer, $80 for a single game isn't realistic. Most people aren't buying multiple $80 titles every month. They're picking one game, maybe two if they're lucky, and hoping it's actually worth the money. And that's the problem. A lot of these games aren't worth what they're pricing them at. Now, don't get me wrong. Games are crazy advanced right now. Better graphics, bigger worlds, more complex systems. But the higher price should mean higher value. Right now, that doesn't always line up. Take the newer Pokemon titles, like Pokemon Legends ZA. Estimates suggest a playtime of around 25 to 30 hours for the main experience. And look, that's not bad, but a lot of solid games fall into that range for $20, maybe more, less than that. But when you're asking players to spend $80, expectations change. People start looking closer at the game itself because they're asking for such a high price. They start noticing visual quality, performance, how alive the world feels, the story, and they start checking everything. And when things don't match that price, things stand out a lot more. For example, again, take ZA. The story, I have not played this game, but I've heard the story was okay. But I've also seen all of the walls. I've seen the flat walls. I've seen the lack of effort put into that game. And then compare that to Elden Ring. A game, yes, made on a very big budget. However, ZA wasn't given that budget. Elden Ring, like ZA, is AAA. Yet Elden Ring is estimated around 200 million, while ZA is estimated only around 10 to 13 million dollars. And you can tell in quality, because Elden Ring easily gives players 100 hours of content or more. And that's on a blind playthrough. Then going through again and getting the platinum, and 100% playthrough that is curated and you know what you're doing, can take about 60 hours. That's how long Fighting Cowboys walkthrough took to get through the base game of Elden Ring. A normal playthrough can take over 100 hours. A casual playthrough can take over 250 for a bad player who gets distracted. And all of the build variety, the replayability, the hidden content, it feels like you're getting more than what you paid for. And honestly, you are. And that raises the important question. What are you actually paying for? Because if one game that is considered better costs less than a game that you seem to get less for, then that's an issue. Because one game, it's $20 less, and you're getting nearly double, triple, 4 times the content of an $80 game that isn't as polished, as beautiful, as interesting as another game. And that's when things get concerning, because this isn't about one game or one company. This is an industry issue. We already saw the jump from $60 to $70. And I look back and I'm like, holy shit, wow. I remember buying Miles Morales for the PS4, and it was $60. And now everything is 70. But now that was only like within the last 5-6 years. And now people are pushing for 80. And if that rate keeps going up, gaming is going to be a luxury. It's not going to be the escapist goals that most people have. It's going to be a luxury for the rich. And if, for example, GTA 6 price hasn't been announced, we all have to hope and pray it is 80. With the amount of money spent on the game and the quality expected, I expect it to be 80. But if it's more, we have a serious problem. Because if GTA pushes $85, $90, that means most other AAA games are going to be pushing 80. And Nintendo's probably going to push 85. And that's a real issue, because if prices go up that quick, that fast, we're going to be at $100 crazy by like 2035. $100 games. And this is a major issue. Now, to be fair, there are other arguments. Not all games need to be 80 plus hours on the dollar for an hour rule, because some shorter games deliver incredible experiences. And main examples of this are the Resident Evil games, Dead Space, and even the Spider-Man games. Spider-Man PS4, it only took me like 25 hours to get the platinum for. But those 25 hours were absolutely incredible. They were amazing. Think about Resident Evil 4. The game itself took me 10 hours. And I would have felt, had I spent $60, $80 even on that, I would have said, yes, this was worth my time. I loved every ounce of this game. But the key value isn't length. If a game's shorter, but it makes up for it with exceptional quality, polish, depth, storytelling, gameplay innovation, then fair, price it at $80, price it at $70. Look at Requiem. Requiem isn't long, but it's well polished. The gray sections seem to be well polished. Leon looks amazing as ever. And I would honestly accept that game being $80. But something like Pokemon Legends ZA just isn't worth that money. Because they're not always delivering that next level experience you would expect for top of the quality stuff. They are just pricing it to be greedy. And if players accept that, it sets a precedent. And you can see that Nintendo players did accept it, and now everything's $80. Even like a Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition is $80. Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition, $80 for a game from 2019. And Xbox tried it, but the fans luckily shut them down. And this is a great step in the right direction. But if that ceiling moves again, even further, and maybe something changes, we've got a main issue. And a chance, again, when this could happen, is GTA 6. It's so anticipated. It has years of development, huge budget. If any game justifies $80, or even past $80, it would be this one. But if GTA 6 launches $90, what do you think Nintendo or other AAA publishers will do? They're gonna follow. They're gonna drop $90. And they're gonna make all their games match GTA. Even if their quality is not GTA level. And because once the price standard moves, it moves for everyone. And not all people are creators behind a screen who get these games for free, who review these games, who make money to play these games and make their money back. There are people like you or me who spend their money on this game and expect an experience, and then it is not one. So if this moves, what we have to do is we have to rebel, we have to protest this, and it's the only way we as consumers can do it is not buy it. And that is going to be hard to hear for many people, because sometimes, hey, you might really want to play the next Nintendo game, but is it worth all Nintendo games being a high price just so you can play this one Nintendo game? Now, one body won't make a difference. But if everybody says, yeah, I won't make a difference, then nothing happens. So, my personal recommendation, if you do want to play these crazy games, might take you a little while, but at least in the area where I live, and probably in other areas, public libraries. Actually, at least my public library does have these crazy video games. And I check them out for free, and, I'm getting Resident Evil Requiem in a few weeks. Yeah, I don't keep it for very long, but that's enough to be able to decide, hey, is this game worth my money? Should I buy this game? Because too many of them aren't worth my money. And that's a main issue. So, another easy way is talk to your friends. If they're interested in the same games as you, don't buy physical. Don't buy digital. Buy physical. if you live near your friends, give them that game. Tell them, hey, I'm going to need this back at some point, but you're all good to play it. And that makes the AAA companies less money. And if they really like it, they can always get it back from you, or they can go and buy it themselves. And that pushes developers who make good games while hopefully reducing the profit on those who don't. Because remember, the real decision isn't made by the publishers. They decide if this game is good enough to be produced. They decide what the pricing is. But if the consumer doesn't like the prices, we choose what the prices will be. We choose what this industry becomes.